I posted a video on Will Smith saying a whole pile of positive shit. Kind of got a whole pile of negative comments about it. And there's a reason for that. But the reason I posted that video is notice how many times this guy says believe. That's kind of what my message is pay attention to what it is you believe. Because what you believe will create your reality. And Will Smith is a little screwed up in what he believes. Like he does want to make a difference. He wants his life to mean something. But kind of look at what that is. It is the almighty buck. The guy is filthy rich. He's believing in himself so that he gets really fucking rich. Excuse the language, but. And he's raised two kids to have meaning in their life so that they get rich. But depending on what direction their kids go into, I mean, the world is changing, so I trust a lot in youth, so they'll probably take those belief systems and, you know, but kids are enjoying their stuff, and his kids are getting lots of fame, lots of attention, lots of positive attention. And once you feel like you don't have anything to worry about because you got all of this money, and once you're getting everybody, worship you like you're a god or a good actor, um, you have no need to make any changes. You believe you've got all of the answers because your life is going so good. So once your life is going so good, those are the people that will crash the hardest because they're believing in the wrong shit. They've sort of like sold their souls to the devil. And then they're going to put out these positive messages that, hey, believe as I believe in what I believe in, and you'll be okay too. you know but that wasn't the message that I wanted to post on my video. I wanted you to pay attention to look at how much this guy believes in something. Don't believe in the same something he believes in, because that's kind of a wrong path, but believe in yourself. And then you got to kind of understand what it is that you're supposed to overcome. And you know Will Smith is a black guy, and what's his genetics, what is the family history there that he's transformed into what he thinks is the solution. Well, if you live in poverty, then you're going to go for the wealth. And his parents were slaves. He hasn't quite figured out that he's still a slave, and he's a slave to that almighty dollar. He won't know who he is. He won't know the meaning of his life because he feels the meaning of his life is to, you know, be willing to die for that dollar. And, what meaning does he have in his life? He wants the world to be a different place because he's here. So, like, what's he doing to make anything in this world better because he exists? Like, I ain't feeling it. Yeah, he makes me laugh. Yeah, he puts out some good songs, and yeah, he's produced, a happy marriage that's worth looking at. What's making him have a happy marriage? Chances are it's the stuff they have that's making them have a happy marriage. But what are they actually putting out in the world? How is their wealth helping somebody that's living in poverty in their area? Do they even recognize that there's poverty there? Are they seeing that in order for them to be wealthy, there's got to be some people that are living in poverty? Can he see the slavery that he himself is still caught up in, or how he sold his soul? If you kind of look at like the George Clooney's, they want to make a difference in the world, but what difference are they actually making? They're really focused on what it is they believe in, but what good is it doing? And I personally have come to realize that we are supposed to be the solution to our genetic past. What are the challenges that our parents have had? And we are repeating the same patterns over and over again. When I was a kid, an abusive background, I swear to God, there's no way my family is going to live in that abusive environment. Yet, as much hard as I tried, you know, married an abusive man, didn't know he was abusive when I married him, had kids, they all went through hell, seeing my kids, not all of them, but some of them, think that it's all about money. They're getting a good education, they're being very, very productive, and they're starting to be slaves to that almighty dollar. So I'm kind of seeing my kids go down that same path, and they're going to say the same words as I did and say, I'm going to make sure my generation isn't going to make the same mistakes as their past. But we're starting to recognize that there's abusive patterns, that it gets repeated all the time. And there's some geniuses out there that think they know how to break patterns, but, they don't really know how to break a pattern. And it's, because if you live in poverty, then the solution to that is wealth. And that isn't it. It's a matter of looking what is causing something and then cure those causes. Why are you living in poverty? What is making our universe make you have a poverty experience? It's not about going after the money, because that is what caused you to live in slavery. That is what caused you to live in poverty, is somebody else had a driving force to be friggin' wealthy. So it's not about jumping into, you're either going to be the problem or you're going to be the solution, either be the poverty or be the wealthy guy. It's a matter of, why do we need to be wealthy at the cost of doing harm to somebody else? That's the big shift. That's the big change is, don't jump into the problem that you hate. If you hate your slave master, don't become the slave master and think that that's the solution. It's like you've got to influence your world, influence your community, not to be the slave and not to be the slave master. It is about, okay, how can we all enjoy the good life? What makes everybody enjoy the good life? That means don't accept the wealth until you know everybody else is just as wealthy as you. That's kind of why where I'm coming from is I definitely would like to produce some documentaries or a film that inspires, that makes the suggestion that we need to make some changes. As soon, we react and get programmed by suggestion. So that's where I see is, a massive change could come out by producing some awesome um, information that suggests a better path. But with something like that will come, like if I'm offering any kind of solution, there will come some kind of fame. Not after the fame, not after that, because I know that's not necessarily that great. Because what happens with fame is everybody loves you, and then somebody makes a suggestion, somebody will see one tiny little flaw, or they'll make up a flaw about you, and then they can turn the masses on you, and then you get equal amount of negative energy thrown at you. So it's kind of not something that I want. I don't want everybody sort of to admire me, because they can turn on you like a dime, and I will get that negative energy being shot at me just as fast. So it's not like, you've got to be your own leader, and not find a leader in somebody else. Just look at the information and then be your own leader. Um, Not really looking for wealth. I mean, if I do produce what it is I see, and it does make a massive shift, um, because we're in an economic system, it will involve raising funds, but I don't want to make the funds, like I don't want to be the one that gets wealthy, because that again is going to be the wrong thing. That's why I came up with this idea that it's got to be another World Bank. It's got to be a bank where the people own the bank. And my concept happens to be about water, like do a documentary and, help reprogram your brain with the information you just got to help you focus on your own life constantly all the time. It's a neurology, it's a tape recording, so you have to change the tape recording that goes on your mind, and water can definitely be the tool that can do it. And it gets spread. It's like putting a label, a branding, a programming out into the universe. That's why the elites have already told me. I mean, this has been on TV. They've used me as a negative energy force to say, this is the dumbest idea going. We won't want that. The universe doesn't want this. They put a lot of negative energy out there on this concept so that nobody will follow this direction, which kind of means why are they so scared? And maybe it is that powerful. But it will have just the science involved. It will make a massive shift. Everybody drinks water. We happen to make this insane addiction to bottled water. We all need healthier water. And water is the best way. Water on a quantum level holds information. So just by drinking this water, you shift the world around you just by drinking this water. And it's $1 trillion industry, so what am I going to do with that kind of money if a tool like this is that powerful? I mean, seriously. you know if anybody asked me, through me, if I won a lottery ticket today, it's like, what would I buy? Like, there's nothing that would make me happy. There's no stuff that would make me happy. Kind of a little depressed. Why am I a little depressed? Because the whole world, the environment I live in is not healthy. So I would reject money. This fear of being successful. It isn't a fear of being successful. It's a fear of, doing the right thing, changing my environment. So that's why, it really makes a lot of sense not to profit off of this concept, but to create a world bank, where we're supporting each other, where we're providing opportunities that are being suppressed. Everybody has a good idea, everybody has a good life path, but our systems right now are going to prevent every single one of us never to get on that path. And this is a way of programming you into finding your path, and then you're going to need support to do that. And it's an economic system. Let's not fight that. Something's driving us to do something, no matter what kind of economic system you're going to do. So why not control the economic system that you want? And be able to walk into a bank and say, I got this idea, I need this much support. And go into a bank that you own that tells you, here you go. I'm never going to reject you. You're going to be supported to be successful in your life purpose. I happen to think it's a good path. Peace out.